everybody. We're going to do a tomato review today on this tomato right here. And this is an exclusive tomato that I'm only going to offer on my 25-cent seed packs and maybe the 99-cent seed packs. But it's definitely going to be on the 25-cent seed packs. And so this video, we're just basically going to review this tomato really quickly. And then, you could decide if you want to give them a try. So what is this tomato? Well, first of all, it's just a large cherry tomato. We'll show you the tomato. And I've been growing this tomato for years, and this was a tomato I got from someone that was just large. It was just a large cherry tomato, and that's all I knew it by. So I never offered the seeds on my website because what am I going to do? Put it down for large cherry tomato? Nobody will buy the seeds. Everybody looks for like certain names and things like that. So I didn't want to waste my time building a web page for it. But it is a good tomato. This is one of the tomatoes that I generally use in my salads. Now, making sauces with it, I have all my other tomatoes that I clean the seeds out of, and I generally make sauce with those. But I don't oftentimes, believe it or not, have tomatoes to make salads with, other than throwing handfuls of currant tomatoes and things. Most of the time, I'm collecting seeds. And when I do that, I pretty much destroy the tomato just to get the seeds out. And it's not really a salad tomato really anymore at that point. So I pretty much, once that happens, I just turn those tomatoes into sauce. But for my salad tomatoes, I grow these tomatoes off to the side, and I just let them grow, and I just really pop 2 or 3 of those into a salad. I cut them in half, or I quarter them, and I throw them in the salad, and that's more than enough tomato for me. But I get a lot of tomatoes off of one plant on this. I can get as many as 60, 70 of these size tomatoes. Now it's a cherry tomato. It's a very large cherry tomato, and like I said, I got these tomatoes from somebody, so I don't know if it's a cultivar name or whatever, but they will eventually turn red. But if you pick them and if you pick them like this, you can eat them like this with the green shoulders, and they will eventually turn red all the way around. But oftentimes when they get this green shoulder on it, it doesn't go away. That green color stays with the skin or the pulp, but it is ripe. You can eat the whole tomato. But yeah, it's kind of an unusual cherry tomato, but at the same time, I don't know what it's called, so I can't offer it. However, I decided I do want to make it available on the 25-cent seed packs, and I'll just give you like 5 seeds or something for 25 cents. So, you can try that variety if you want, but it won't be available as its own listing or anything. It'll only be under the 25-cent seeds. All right, just wanted to clear that part up, and it's that way if you're looking for the seed, your tomatoes, you're only going to be able to buy them at 25 cents. So if you want 20 or 30 or 40 seeds, you just got to add multiple items to your cart until you get what you want. Okay, it's not going to be one listing where you can buy bulk items of it or anything. I'm just offering it as a courtesy for anyone who wants to try this tomato for the 25-cent seed. So let me just show you the tomato. Again, it looks like this. All right, nice green shoulders on them. They do get nice and red eventually if you leave them out long enough, or if you leave them on a plant long enough, they will get really red. But I usually eat them in this condition. When I see them like this, that's good enough. I pull them. Here's another one with a really green shoulders on them. An interesting cherry tomato. I wish I knew what it was. I would like to make a listing for it. It's just I have no idea what it is other than large cherry tomato. And again, I got these seeds a long time ago. And so I either grow them every year, or usually, believe it or not, oftentimes these tomatoes will just, if I let a bunch of them fall on the floor at the end of the year, where it is, I always get that they always reseed themselves in the following year. So that's kind of been going on that way for quite a while. But I don't really save seed to it. I do have some seed I save to it, but now that I'm going to offer it, well, maybe I'll start saving the seed to this and sacrifice my salad tomatoes, because again, the only reason why I let this grow is because this is really one of the few tomatoes I don't have a problem with just picking off the plant and throwing in my salad. Most of the other tomatoes, I usually have to cut them up and then squeeze the seeds out of them. So I don't want to start doing that with this because I eat this tomato, and it's one of the few tomatoes I'm not going to be like, oh, I need to save seeds to it, All right, so let's put it on the scale and see what it weighs like. Did I show you the inside? I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I showed you that. All right, that's what it looks like on the inside. It's a very nice tomato, guys. This really is. I eat them all the time. It's got a nice classic flavor to it. If you're wondering what does it taste like, we'll do a taste test on it, and I'll go through the whole sheet, and then we'll pick it out. We'll piecemeal the details. Yeah, these tomatoes can get quite large. They can get up to maybe even almost an ounce. They're almost Campari sized, believe it or not. That's 0.8. This one's 0.8 again. 0.6. I think this is a small one. 0.6, maybe a little over. Just to give you an idea of the weight of that particular variety. And I also grow a medium-sized cherry tomato. They're generally about the size of a cherry tomato, but they get a little bit oblique in shape, so they're not perfectly round like these. They get a little. I'm going to do another video on those, and I'm also going to offer them on the 25-cent seed. But they're a little bit smaller than these. These are rather large cherry tomatoes, believe it or not. I love these things. So, anyways, that's it for here. We're going to go and do a bricks on it. So let's go over there. Let me back you out a little bit too. Get you out. Let's do a bricks on the meter. Let's get this out of here before I stain it like everything else. Alright, this is a 7.5, guys. See, this is why I like these tomatoes. This is pretty high for a cherry tomato. It's not really high, but I mean, considering this year, this is like up in the higher numbers. Okay, so this is 7.5 on the bricks. It's going to be probably a pretty sweet tomato, but also tangy, because I have been eating them. They got a nice tang to them. So let's give that a go. Wow, those are good. That's like eating candy, guys. Wow, look at that. I got to eat that. Believe it or not, this is one of my higher rated tomatoes, and I don't offer it. I feel bad about that, but again, I don't know what to call it. Just a large cherry tomato, I guess. I don't know. That's what I'm going to call it for the 25-cent listing anyway. So, all right, let's go over these numbers here. We'll go over the sweetness. Sweetness was absolutely incredibly high. I'm going to put that sweetness at about 35. That's one of the highest almost one of the highest sweetness tomatoes of the year so far. But the sweetness is absolutely phenomenal on this. I mean, it's so sweet. It has a sugary type of a sweetness to it. And when you eat it, it's almost like eating a piece of candy, so to speak. That's how sweet this tomato is. Extremely sweet. And that tomato wasn't even fully red. They taste like that even when they're in their orange stage like this. It's the way I eat them, just like this. And they're sweet, but if you really let them turn red, they're really going to get sugary type sweet. It's almost ridiculous. It's almost too sweet. It doesn't almost seem right. But very, very sweet tomato. It's one of my sweetest so far this year. As far as tanginess was probably almost a little lower than the sweetness, but it was somewhere around the same height of that. Because tanginess is usually, when you can still taste the tanginess, when it's more sweet than tangy, you almost don't taste any tanginess at all. But here I was able to taste the tanginess too. So it's probably very close to the same thing. I'll put the tanginess at about a 34. That sweetness was almost a little higher than the tangy. It was just incredibly close to it. The balance between those two is absolutely perfect. There's no differentiation between the sweetness and the tangy. They just melded together like one. It was very, very hard for me to judge how much tangy and sweet comparing wise. It was like almost perfect. Now it's very unusual for tomatoes because usually some tomatoes are usually more tangy, some tomatoes are more sweet. So it's usually never a perfect balance. This one was almost perfectly balanced right down the center. Tomato flavor is actually quite strong in there, so I'm going to put that tomato flavor roughly around the 7.5. Again, when we talk about flavor, we're talking about how strong the flavor was in the whole tomato profile. So it was pretty strong. I really got a really good tomato flavor. Almost had, if you're ever eating Heinz ketchup, it almost tasted a little bit like Heinz ketchup. Now, some of you might be grossed out by that, but in a way, it kind of tasted like Heinz ketchup. Because Heinz ketchup, they put sugar in Heinz ketchup or corn syrup or something. So Heinz ketchup is tomato, but it's really sweet. This kind of almost tasted like Heinz ketchup. As bizarre as that might sound, it kind of almost tasted like that because the sugar content was so high in that tomato. So the the flavor I'm going to put out about a 7.5. It was very high. Those three numbers alone are going to put us up. I can tell you right out the gate. That's going to put us up in the 2 to 1.5 range right out the gate, because those numbers are really the major determining factor of how high I go. These things only really dictate when they're really off. That's how much if they're really off, then you really start to drop that number. The moisture was perfect. We're going to put that at about 6.5 on the moisture. You could almost say 7 on the moisture. It was really moist. It was really delectable. It melted in your mouth, and it was absolutely delicious as far as that water part of it goes. It really delivered the moisture right down to where your taste buds were. No tardiness, no undertones. We're going to go 0 on those both. Texture, we're going to put a texture at about 6.5 as well. I almost want to go 7 with the texture. Texture was absolutely perfect for a tomato like this. It melded in your mouth, and skins separate. Skins broke up with the flesh good. So that means that the texture had to been firm enough for those skins to really chew up nicely with the tomato. Plus the skins were also nice. They were nice skins, so they broke up good. But you still need a little bit of texture back in behind that skin, so it could break up as you chew it. But there was no creaminess on the texture, no graininess, no chalkiness, no dryness or sliminess or anything like that. It was a perfect textureness. Again, when I put these numbers up here, anywhere between 6 and 5 on that number for texture, that's perfect. That's where you want to be. And we're calling this one a 6.5 because it was the high end of being a perfect type texture. It was really good. I really enjoyed that tomato. In fact, I'm going to eat the rest of those once we're done with this. I got a ton of these tomatoes in my garden, an absolute ton, so I get plenty of seed. I ain't worried about that. It's just eating these tomatoes sometimes, man, these are actually sweeter than the ones I've been eating earlier. I let them ripen on my table a little bit. Man, that sugar content like virtually doubled because they're not normally that sweet. This was really, really, really sweet. So I'm not sure what happened here. I think leaving them out on the table, the starch is really converted over. Production's really good. We're going to go a little bit above on the production. I'll probably go about 6.5 to 7 on the production. The production's really good. This plant will put out 10 dozen tomatoes easy, maybe even more than that. The plant can also get to, you got to figure it's going to get to around 15 feet tall, or anywhere between 10 and 15 feet tall with multiple branches, and each one of those branches are going to have, 4 or 5 bracts on each one of them. And so you're going to get a lot of tomatoes out of this particular variety. It's a very, very productive variety. So for production, like I say, I'm going to put that at about, I guess I could put it at 6.5 to 7. That's somewhere around there would be a good number for that. It's definitely up there. It's a pretty good producer. It's not the heaviest producer, but for what it does, and without no maintenance on this plant, it's a great tomato right there. Skins. Skins, we're going to put the skins at we're going to put the skins at 4. And the reason why we're doing that, and when I talk about skins, what is the rating for skins? It's how well it breaks up in your mouth. And so a 5 means it's almost like a skinless tomato. Basically, you didn't even know it had a skin. And so 4 is the next thing best to it. It had a skin, but it broke up so good that it's almost like it wasn't there. And so that's the higher the rating is for skins, the better the experience was as far as chewing the tomato and the skins just not making itself noticeable while you're eating it. Because when skins are noticeable while you're eating it, that's not exactly palatable. And so we don't really necessarily want to feel skins in between our gums, stuck to the roof of our mouth, that kind of stuff. So that's a very unpalatable, unpleasant experience. And so the more you get of those skins sticking to the roof of your mouth or your gums, the lower that number is going to go. All right, the better it is without skins, and it breaks up easy, the higher. And we're going with a 4 on these skins. So that's really a good feature to this tomato. The skins were very, very nice. Now, as far as seeds, the seeds is I'm going to go a little above average on the seeds. The seeds are it's kind of a seedy variety. It's going to have a little more seeds than your standard cherry tomato. Main reason why is these tomatoes are a little bit bigger than regular standard cherry sized tomatoes. They do get a little bigger. They can get up to an ounce, which is, most cherry tomatoes usually go over a ½ ounce, maybe 3/4 of an ounce, but these will get up as big as an ounce. They get quite big, and the bigger the tomato, the more seeds, and that's basically what you're looking at here. So it does have a little bit more seeds, so we're going to go with a 6 on the seeds, and again, this is more for fresh eating, and we're not talking about sauces. So you can make sauce with it if you want, but I'm just saying this review is based on it being eaten fresh and that sort of thing. So how do I rate this tomato overall, with 1 being the highest? Well, we're going to rate this at about a 1.5. Is a very high rating for this tomato, and I highly recommend this tomato. It's almost a sin that I'm going to be offering it for just 1/4 for the seeds, and it's just, I don't know what to name the variety. I'm not going to put names on it, and if I put in there on my website large cherry tomato, not a single person will buy it, because they're like, oh, that's just a store-bought tomato, and it's not. These tomatoes were actually given to me by somebody a long time ago, very long time ago actually, over 10 years ago. I've been growing those tomatoes on and off throughout the years, and I've had them for a long time, and I always eat those tomatoes because they grow wild on their own. Once I start growing them around here, they come up on their own in random areas, almost like an Everglade tomato. So, but sometimes I don't plant them, and sometimes they don't come up the following year. So then I lose a year or two, and then I got to start all over again. But I'm definitely going to rate this at about a 1.5 on the rating. It's a very high rating, guys. This is probably a tomato you would definitely want to try, or at least sample. And so I'll offer that tomato for the, the 25-cent seed deals, and you can get, you can try it out there. You can buy a little sample pack of it. All right. So really, that's it, guys. Whatever information I do have on this tomato, even though there is no information, but I'll look up whatever information I do have in my files, and if I find anything on this tomato, I'll just put that down in the description. And whatever information, involving, with this review, I could put that stuff down in the details. And what I'll do is I'll leave a link below that'll take you over to the webpage where you can buy these tomatoes and give them a go for yourself. See if you like them. All right, so that's it. That was your tomato review for the large cherry tomato, or large red cherry tomato, rather. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care.